I wish I could have gone first this morning instead of Doc because I don't sound nearly as articulate or inspirational, so you'll just have to understand who you're listening to. I am a marching band guy, right? I'm actually okay with that. When I was asked this week if I would do a talk for you folks, I don't have it. Most of us have things in the bag, but unless you want to hear about marching fundamentals or proper warm-ups for a concert band, I really had nothing in the bag as far as leadership. I very, very rarely talk about leadership. I hate the word leadership. I think it's the dumbest word that's ever existed. It's basically, leadership is just another feel-good word for being in charge. Okay, being important. That's what everybody wants to do. I'm a leader. Basically, you're important. Okay? And sometimes, I joined the band because I want to do leadership. What is leadership? I don't know. It's leadership. No, it's just being important. Or the one I really like is leadership is being willing to do the stuff that nobody else wants to do. I kind of like that one too. All right? But, it is important. And I think leadership is, the way everybody uses it really is is really attitude towards things. I have a superior attitude towards things, or a good attitude towards things. Therefore, I deserve to be paraded in front of everybody else because I have a good attitude. I mean, I'm not sure anybody here could disagree. And so I struggle with talking about leadership. But it was, how many of you are from K-State? Okay, so if some of this is going to be old hat to you. I was at a conference at IBA, and Frank Trace came and talked, and I love Frank. Frank is always good for a good laugh, and he's a little intense. He's more intense than I am, by the way, people who are from Iowa State. Way more intense than I am. But he was talking about leadership, and he was talking about this book that he has you all read. It's called Motivating the Middle. You guys all know it? Yeah. And you guys probably may even know it more than I. How many of you know about this book? Wow, that's unfortunate. I read it and ordered it because I had not heard about it before, and it kind of goes along with what I've been thinking for the last couple years. And after I got through reading it, I really enjoyed it. I disagreed with some things in it, but I'm going to actually use it for our leadership. So those of you who are involved in guides or drum majors or whatever are actually going to get a copy of this, and we're going to talk a little bit about this. But as I'm reading it, I think I'm on my fourth reading, I figured, well, I have nothing on leadership except for this, so we're going to talk a little bit about this book. Because I think it's important, as I'm reading it, not only is it important for how I think about marching band and what I want to do better for our marching band, but also what I feel, honestly, the organizations, both Kappas and Betas, the things that I've seen in meetings and things that I know that are happening, I think it's important for those organizations as well. So I think this has kind of a double use for you folks as we talk our way through this. Let's go ahead and read from the handout. I know you all can read yourself, but this will help me waste some time. Most organizations operate with their members falling into three categories. Top third, by the way, one of my disagreements is the percentages, and we'll talk about that in a minute. The top third. Top third members do most of the work. They are the visible, busy leaders. If their hands are not actively doing something for the group, their minds are likely thinking about the next event, meeting, or project. They run for office. They step up when there is a need. Organization is these people, the organization is the cornerstone of their campus identity. They're opinionated about the direction of the group. They exert their influence and social capital to affect the group. Outside of the meetings/rehearsals, they sit in someone's room discussing the politics of the organization, solving problems, or planning the next event. They are wearing band t-shirts or member shirts all the time. The success or failure of the organization directly reflects on them personally. They care deeply about the behavior and the effort of all members, especially when it detracts from the group's success. I am talking about you. Okay? As you're reading this, I can almost guarantee every single one of you falls in this category. As I'm reading this, I got faces of my marching band going across through my head, right? It's you are the folks that just, your identity is either the organizations themselves or the overall organization of band, or both. You folks are just band nerds, right? I mean, me too. I can call you that because that's me, and I don't think there's anything wrong with having that as your identity. But it's important to me and to us, and me personally when I deal with our marching band, that I know that my paradigm, I'm looking at the marching band as the sole reason for my existence. That's the reason I can own my house, the reason I can feed my family, and the reason I can drive my truck is because of this thing, okay? So my entire focus is on that thing. And I think it's important for marching band directors and music teachers, period, to always keep that in mind. I'm not sure we always do. I'm not always successful at it. But I think it's important that we look on a broader scope for you students and understanding that, you guys have a lot of other things pulling you in different directions. I know when I drive through the state of Iowa, I am constantly amazed. I drive through these small towns and I realize I know 3 or 4 kids from this town. And then you look at the town, you look at the school as you drive by, and you pull up to Ames, and you pull into Iowa State in our music building, and I realize what a big jump this is. And sometimes that's a lot easier for me to understand, okay, where are my students coming at it, coming to this from? You guys have the same challenge in your organization. Some of them may never have been in an organization like yours before. They may not know what Robert's Rules of Order are. They may not know all of these things that are coming in, and so you have to look at what their backgrounds are, and maybe how they approach things and what's important to them. Then we have the bottom third. Bottom third members, for whatever reason, are the least likely to care or personally sacrifice for the organization. These are the members who might behave badly at an event, avoid paying their dues, publicly criticize the group, shirk their commitments, and create endless drama. These people miss no opportunity to rip your organization down, don't show up to things, come to only the fun stuff, technically members but never actually engage with the organization, or care about the organization to the extent that it only serves their needs. Right now, I'm sure all of you have faces from whatever organizations that you deal with coming across your head, right? You guys all know that. You could name names. You dare name names, but you all can do that. I love this. You folks, you spend a lot of your time worrying about the bottom third members, dealing with their drama, mitigating the problems they cause, and trying to understand why they feel and act the way they do. You take their negative influence and apathy personally. Tension exists between you and them. You don't feel like you are on the same team. How many of you could probably name 3 or 4 people like that? Those people frustrate the heck out of you, don't they? Frustrate the heck out of me. It's like, why can't you learn to step off on your left foot? Why are you talking to your neighbor all the time while I'm talking to you? Okay, why don't you understand and learn your drill and your music before you come to rehearsal? Why do I spend my entire time teaching 5 people in this band instead of the 340 others? Why do I do that? I do that every day. I complain, bitch, cry, and moan. Okay, to everybody. Trust me, both of you know. All right, and those people are important. As I look at this and I think through my job, I know these people's names. I know all the top third. Actually, I believe the top 40% of my group is this top group. Okay, and I think many of you will agree. The percentages I don't really agree with for here. I would honestly say for the Cyclone Marching Band especially, I would deal 40 to 50% are in this top third. All right, and I may not even go that high. Let's go 40. But I really believe that another 50% are in this middle section we're about ready to talk about, and then 10% of these detractors. Right? I mean, and that's the reality of our organizations, especially for a marching band. Everybody wants to be there for the most part. Okay, especially with us, we don't have any requirements for music ed majors or anything else. It's all people who want to be there. So, but honestly, I know those 50% of my band. I know their names. I know everything about them because they're always the one I'm either praising or yelling at. Okay, think about that in your own organizations. In our TBS chapter. I know coming into our meetings, there are people in our TBS chapter that I don't know their names, to be honest with you, okay? Those are always those middle people. I know all the great, oh, Mr. Smith, what can we do for you? Oh, Mr. Smith, this is great. Oh, Mr. Smith, let us help you clean anything you want to clean. And then I know the members that my president always comes in and talks about, they haven't paid their dues, they haven't turned in their transcripts. These people don't come to anything, what do? I know all of their names, right? And I would guarantee that's probably the same with you. Yeah? Well, to me, what I like about this book is I know that the middle people to me are important. They're the ones I want to come back year after year. I know Aaron's going to come back to the band whenever he can, right? He gave me 4 years of his life, right?
Yes.
He gave me 4 years of his life. So many of you are giving 3, 4, 5, and 6 years of your life to bands themselves, right? I know that they are going to come back, all right? And I know, because I'm an absolute jerk to that bottom 10%, they are probably not going to come back. And if they come back, it's just to make my life hell. So I know that that's not going to be a problem. But for some reason, I concentrate on those two groups all the time. What I am going to work on in my future, and I hope that you guys will consider working on in your future too, is that middle. That those people that enjoy being there, band is part of their experience, TBS K-Side is part of their experience, but it is not their reason for being. Okay? Their reason for being are a lot of other clubs. For us, it may be Solar Car, or Design Studio, or working for our school paper. But all of those things are a part of a whole to what's important to them, because we all have different motivations, if you will. And so, what he says about this middle third is there is a big space between the top third and the bottom third members. And it's in this forgotten space that the middle third members live. Their perspective is different from that of both the top and the bottom third members. If you ever caught yourself thinking that a very small percentage of your members do all the work, that indicates that you are failing to properly activate and motivate your middle third. These middle third, they care about the organization. They have a positive attitude and they want to contribute. They want their activities to fit their lives and their demands. Organization is a priority, but not always their top one. Happy to contribute to the organization, but more likely to be a supporter than an MVP. Like one aspect of your organization more than others. They enjoy the social stuff, they really hate meetings. Enjoy game day work, but hate large group activities. Most times they have to juggle their other activities/academics with the organization and may choose the other due to current priorities. Okay? In other words, man, I got this midterm coming up. I got this test coming up. Right now, band isn't that important. Or, I've got whatever paper due, but then I have meeting tonight. Is it more important for me to go to meeting, or is it more important for me to get an A on this paper? And I think you all individually can sit there in a quiet moment and realize that what those priorities should be. But I think we kind of get involved in our organization so much and the importance of that organization, that at times we hold people to unrealistic priorities. I know I do, all the time with marching band. It's like when we have career fair here, I think career fair is a bigger deal than midterms and finals. People are stressed the heck out here during that time, and I see this glazed over look at my marching band. And it's taken 4 years for me to realize that week, I better plan a little easier show, maybe about 5 sets less drill. Maybe not get so amped up when something doesn't go right, because they have a lot more on their mind than just marching band. And this should be an escape for them, not a stress for them. And I think, you and your organizations can do the same thing. If you plan this big sisterhood or brotherhood event or big service project over the top of midterms or over the top of for us, career fair, you're going to get some pushback on that. And I think it's really important that we all look at our calendars and the school time and realize that just because it might be an open weekend, it might not really be an open weekend. So things like that are important to me. Symptoms of ignoring the concerns of the middle. I identify with this, so I'm not attacking anybody in this room. Some of you may take it personally. I took it personally when I read this, and now I think it's right. Top third members think that all members will respond to the things that motivate them. Top third members like awards, praise, and elaborate recognition programs. They feel a sense of duty and obligation towards their organization and are amazed that others don't feel as strongly. We plead, lecture, and guilt our members. When these motivational techniques fail, we begin to call our members apathetic. Soon, top third student leaders make events and meetings mandatory. Let me say this again. Soon, top third student leaders make their events and meetings mandatory. They look down on members who don't have the same commitment, and soon fines are levied, and less involved members are threatened with expulsion. This should hit home probably to a lot of you. Would you all agree? This is what we do, yes? Well, let's punish them. They obviously are terrible members of this plan. Let's punish them. I do that with marching band all the time. Let's lower their grades. Let's make them feel like they don't hold up their commitment to the others. let's do all of these things. And yes, you have to have some of those things in place. But if a person isn't motivated by a need of excellence, or to feel a part of the group, or to feel like they contribute to the overall whole, and it's not of value to them, they won't give you what you want. And then you have to make sure that those expectations are realistic to the environment in which they're living, college. So to me, being a leader is being empathetic to those people who may not feel the same way you do, and assisting them instead of showing them the way in which they need to be successful. He talks about ways to motivate the middle. To me, as I put in all capitals here, because that's what you do on texts and on papers anymore when you want to scream at somebody, the middle are important people in any organization. They are the most important people in any organization. To me and to you, those are the people we need to concentrate on. They don't see things as you do. Put yourself in their shoes. Understand where they're coming from. They care about the organization, but worry about their leadership abilities and the balance to strike with their other commitments. That blows me away in marching band. I mean, it's marching band. Don't be offended, but anybody can do it, right? I mean, it's like, put your left foot first and march in time. Okay, not everybody can do it. I've seen like 3 or 4 people who are just too dumb or uncoordinated to do it. But for the most part, a person who learns to play an instrument to the level that it requires to be in a college marching band are smart enough to do this, right? And so, when you're looking at this, understand that there's going to be just all kinds of different things there, and they may be, I look at somebody and I'm like, why aren't they showing that rookie next to them how to march? They march great. I don't understand why they won't take the leadership and show them. And then I talk to them later, either they'll apply for a guide or something of the sort, and they're really scared about showing somebody how to march, because they just don't know how to teach. They do it themselves. They just have no idea how to show somebody else. So your frustration with them and thinking that they don't care, they're apathetic, is really a set of concerns and insecurity for them as far as stepping out and doing this. So really, instead of calling somebody apathetic, maybe helping them. Maybe giving them some goals, and maybe giving them some strategies on how to do things might work better. That's something I don't do as well as I wish I did. I don't think I do it as badly as some others do, but I don't do it as well as I wish I did. So, that's something we're going to work on too. Ask their opinion without implied additional commitment. I do this all the time. You can ask my students. It's like, oh, so Cody Eaning got stuck with this. I feel bad to this day, but I think he's really happy about it. Like, Cody, you build a lot of stuff. How would you do so? Look at what we call the dungeon, what I call the dungeon, in the bottom of our communications building by where our marching band rehearses. Like, how would you do shelves in here? Well, Mr. Smith, I would do this and this and this. Great, you're going to do it. And unfortunately with me, it's like, oh, you know how to do it? You're going to do it. And people who are in the middle, some of them are like Cody, took bull by the horns, loved it, did it. Feels, I hope, a sense of pride by it, because he has a lot to be proud of. But somebody that maybe has an opinion about something, but maybe not the time to do it. I did this in the summer. If I would have done this in the spring, while he's got his engineering classes, he's not going to want to tell me no, because nobody wants to tell me no. But he would have done it anyway, and it would have been at the degradation of his grades or his personal time, and that would have made him cynical and upset towards the organization, and may have set him on a bad path with the organization, which is something I'm not trying to remember too. So keep that in mind. Nothing stresses out a middle third member like facing midterms. Okay, like the prospect of a long drawn-out meeting. Like the prospect of a long and drawn-out meeting. Like maybe when we do elections, and elections take until 2 o'clock in the frickin' morning. And it always happens right before dead week. Really, is this a smart idea? Is this a good idea? Nobody makes good decisions when they're stressed out, period. But yet we do it. Everybody does it. Maybe trying to figure out a different option with that would be a good idea. I'm not speaking to anybody, really. One thing, and I put this here, it says it in the book, and it's something I feel strongly about with our organizations. I'm I'm on a bit of a crusade, not going to lie, so I'm going to use this pulpit that you've all given me to just spew my own opinion. I hate mandatory events. I really do. If your event isn't fun enough, cool enough, or interesting enough to draw people to it, requiring them to come to it is sure going to improve their attitude. Right? Scrapbooking. We have this scrapbooking thing, and I don't think they make it mandatory, so don't come to me and defend it, okay? Because I think it's cool for the people that want to do it. But if our members were to make scrapbooking mandatory, I would have been out the door. I'm as uncreative on that as it gets, and I don't view scrapbooking as being something manly enough for me to handle. Unless I'm not manly to like scrapbooking, okay? I'm trying to be funny, and I am. If somebody were to tell me I had to do that, I would hate it way more than I would initially, right? So just as a hint towards you guys, and maybe something for you to think about in your organizations, and I'm sure right now you're compiling in your head a list of excuses and a list of reasons why you do it. But I would just hope that you could find a reason why you wouldn't have to do it, and maybe working to find events that people want to do. Now, that doesn't mean that events aren't going to be failures. I do things with the marching band. You can ask anybody in our band. I change things every single year, sometimes to the chagrin of the rest of our members. But I am constantly trying to change things and do things differently to see if it works. Some things I do work. Some things I do don't. But, that's it with your organizations, too. Let's try this activity. Oh, crap, nobody showed up. You should always try it a second year because a lot of people won't come to it until they know it's been cool. But you try it a second year and people still don't come to it. All right, no harm, no foul. You tried it. But you might try an event that everybody shows up to and everybody loves. We do this Halloween trick-or-treating thing with our band. Now, when I got here, it was at 50. It had been since I'm an alumnus of our band from way too far back to tell you. But I was in the Iowa State Marching Band, and I remember that probably 25 people went to it because it was alcohol. It was about, drinking and going to the coach's house and getting thrown out of the coach's house because there was a bunch of drunk college kids on its front lawn, and it was pride. We were pride. This is what marching band does. We drink and we do stupid crap, right? Which is a little bit different from what people's motivations are nowadays, because you've all changed since I was in school for the better. But, that activity kept having limited participation. And then once we had our athletic director and our basketball coaches and our football coaches embrace it and start making cookies and bringing people in and cupcakes, because our students weren't a-holes anymore, okay? They were fun, and they could bring their kids and they could bring their neighbors. All of a sudden it became a positive environment. And that one activity that was just kind of an outlier is now, I think, 200 people came to it last year. Last year, our coaches, who make millions of dollars, had to donate money because they didn't want to make 200 cupcakes. So we had this huge event here and had food, and it was wonderful. But that is an example of something that may have kind of floundered for a while, that all of a sudden got some traction because of how much fun it was. Members in the band spoke to other members of the band. We actually had drumline members show up to this thing, which for us is a huge deal. I mean, the fact that we have a couple drumline members here is shocking. It is something that doesn't usually happen for us. So that's how I view something successful. So as you're doing things, and you're doing events, don't make them mandatory, make them cool. If you make them cool and rewarding and fun and worthwhile, worth somebody's time, you won't have to penalize them for it. You won't have to fine them. They'll do something that's great, which means you may not have a whole lot of activities. But those activity things do, which is probably good not having too much activities. But what you do, make it worthwhile. Okay? Minimize the drama. Nobody likes drama. If you are a person that just wants to be part of an organization for the fun of it and for what it adds to it, if you go and everybody's arguing and complaining and bitch crying and moaning, you're not going to want to show back up. Right? I wouldn't. So get rid of that drama. All right, make it seem like it's a positive environment to be in, which sometimes is harder than you think. I mean, I would love to say this: the ISCC at B&B is always the most positive, rewarding thing in the world. It's not. Mid-October, it's raining, or late November, it's freaking cold. Nobody's happy to be there, right? It's not a rewarding, fun experience. It is just a means to an end, which hopefully that end is a positive experience too. But you need to, especially in your organizations, it's not raining, it's not hot, it's not snowing in your organizations, at least I hope it's not. You can make those a positive environment. And when it's not, you need to change something. Thank people for their participation. I hate our awards banquet. I love it because I get to see everybody dressed up, and we have huge participation, so I think it's a good thing. But we give these awards, and I despise awards. I mean, they mean a lot to me and the people who are they named after, and I like recognizing people. So we do this these alumni scholarships every year. These small little, they may pay for a couple books anymore, but we do them. I'm not even sure our students, so I'm letting a little bit of a secret out of the bag here. I despise them. I hate them. Because I have to pick 5 students out of 290. You'll notice my numbers there. We have 300 and some of the band, but there are about 290 in the Cyclo Marching Band that deserve an award. They absolutely deserve an award because they're outstanding human beings and their commitment is above and beyond what their one credit deserves. And so I hate having to take somebody out and laud somebody as a great member of the band when I know that there are hundreds of other great members of the band. And so that's tough for you guys too. So we need to find those opportunities to thank everybody. And if it's not a public award, that's fine. I really tried. I hope everybody in our band realizes that as I walk around during warm-ups, I try to find people who are doing the right thing, who may not even know their name, pat them on the back, say, hey, glad you're here. This is going well. Good job. I try to do that myself. Maybe that's something you all should do. I try to do it. I need to do it better. But find those people in the organization that aren't necessarily the vocal ones or whatever. Those are the ones that are making your organization. Let them know that you appreciate them. Because it's important, because they're the ones that are going to make you successful. Give meaningful supporting roles. Okay, I like this one, and I need to do this better. It goes with it. Asks for help on specific limited time tests. Tasks. The English language eludes me. In other words, find one thing that they can do. So don't make them section leader. Don't make them guide for us. Make them, okay, so for there's a chant that we're going to do for one of our stands things, all right? I'm going to send our sousaphone section on it. Actually, more specifically, Triba on it. They don't know it yet, but I'm sending them. Because they are the craziest, wildest ones in the band. They think of stupid things. So I'm going to give that to them. It's going to be a limited one-time thing because, honestly, there are some members of Triba who are much more interested in the social aspect of the band than they are in the overall functioning of the band. That's not to say that they are not essential and important in the overall activities of the band, but it just means they don't want extended leadership things that require a ton of commitment. So something like this is really important to them. For you folks, as you're looking at an activity, or you're putting a one-time event together, or you're doing, let's say, instrument petting zoo, because it's the only thing I've got. I don't know why I have stuck in my head. But like, say you're doing instrument petting zoo. All right, so Johnny, will you please just make sure that you have, can you organize all the people to donate their instruments? Or can we make sure we have 1, 2, go, 1, blah, 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 blah. That's a one limited time thing that they can help with, they can feel important with, without having to make a larger commitment. Try to find those opportunities for your middle, because they'll feel like they're giving something back, they'll feel like they're contributing, without having to make it the center of their life. And then last but not least, which is something that we have a huge band, and some of you are from maybe bigger bands than us. I don't know everybody's name. And every year on my evaluations I get, gosh, I wish you knew my name. And it makes me like almost tear up. It really does, because I want to know their names. I'm just not good with names. I'm kind of dumb. So, it's important that you try to know something about everybody in your organization. Maybe something besides band, because life is not band, right? Try to find out, are they a soccer player? Are they a singer? Do they like, Firefly? Half of our engineers like Firefly. I actually watched Firefly. I won't go Doctor Who yet. I just won't do Doctor Who. It's just too weird and I don't get it. But Firefly, I didn't know about and I like, right? I do. And the funny thing is, you guys go, yeah, Firefly, that's great. I love that. Anyway, but I will make an effort to try to at least be conversational about those things. And I encourage you to do the same. Find something unique that's outside of marching band that people can connect with. I know our TPS members make fun of my hair all the time. I have wonderfully perfect hair. I do. It's perfect. See? But everybody in our organization makes fun of me. It's become kind of their thing to do, right? And that's important for people, to have something. It is. It's important that people understand that there is something about them or something different than just band that they are part of. Good, I made you laugh. At least some of you are chuckling. That's at least what I'm good for. But to me, leadership is just really about a personal commitment to excellence. A person that's enthusiastic to the point of wanting to do something very well. It doesn't mean something's got to be central to them, but it means something they have to do. If they're going to be there, they're going to do it well. I say this to our band all the time. Forget about band when you're outside of band. But for now, for these hour and a half, make this your focus. Leave all your baggage off the field and let's be excellent right now. If we're excellent right now, and you do that, your groups, your organizations that you're in, TBS, K-Sci, your marching band, your concert band, if you give that 100% towards excellent, right then, you're going to be part of a phenomenal organization. Just remember that as you go. Any questions? Anything? I got a little bit of time, I guess. I've been pretty verbose. That's good. As I've talked, does anybody have any strategies that they've had or any concerns that they've seen with their groups regarding things I've talked about?
What about requiring a certain number of things, but there's quite a bit more than what's required? I'm just curious on the opinion on that.
That's actually a good question. It brings me to something I didn't talk about. I'm going to sound a little different than I lean politically or socially, I guess. Leave that bottom behind. It says, that whole leave no child behind. And I'm not an evil person, by the way, but there's that 10% that we just talked about. Don't worry yourself with it, because there's always going to be that 10%. There's always going to be people in your organization that are part of it that just need to bring it down. I found that's part of some people's personalities. They're just Debbie Downers. That's just who they are, and you're always going to have them. You can say, I can motivate them to do this, I can motivate them to do that. But the reality is, you're not going to motivate them to do that. They're just not going to do it. So why cause yourself stress and bring down the organization concentrating on those morals? Which goes to your point. If I require a minimum amount, because there are some people who will just go the minimum amount or won't go at all. Who cares? Who cares? Don't come to anything. They want to just wear the letters. There are some people who just want to be part of a fraternity or sorority. They just want to walk across campus, and they've got the idea that a Greek organization places them above everybody else. They do. Because there's a certain personality that thinks that. I've had that before. I want to join because I want to wear letters. And I think you probably all can name one or two people that are being like that. It's your job in the recruitment and initiation process. I know that there's probably a better word for that. Education process to find those people and make sure that those people don't make it in your organization. But sometimes they're going to make it. Forget them. Screw them. You're better off trying to motivate them to come to a minimum amount of things. I think is going to cause more strife with the people who are already going to come to things and do things and cause more drama. And why cause drama to those people who really matter to your organization? Just let the others just be a personal opinion. Okay? Other questions?
So what are your thoughts about dealing with competitiveness? If you feel that some of those middle people feel that they have to compete with the top members or try to be more like the top members rather than themselves.
I think that competition is bred from those other members. The top. Because if all you're talking about is awards and who's going to be president next semester, or who's going to be vice president next semester, or who's going to be told what a big boy or girl they are and how awesome they are and be put in front of everything, that puts pressure on that middle group because they think, wow, the only way you can be here is to do that, which I think causes the competition. I hope I'm addressing what you're talking about. And if you make everybody feel the love in which they deserve and that they want out of their involvement in the organization, if you give them the recognition in some way, they're not going to aspire to be president if they know they can't be. But they're going to feel like, oh, I don't have to be president of this organization to be valued. I just have to do something that's good. So I guess for me, the competitive nature is actually the fault of the go-getters, the MVP. And I'm not demeaning the MVPs. Our band would not exist without you. Okay, bands, period, would not exist without your leadership and the way that we do things and your go-gettedness and the fact that you sit around your dorm rooms and bitch about the directors and how they don't do things the right way, or bitch about people in your sections about how they just don't understand. That's part of marching band. Yeah, go team. If it wasn't happening, something would be wrong. It means you didn't care, right? But those members, you are all very, very important. Explore those people who maybe sit in their dorm room and talk about something else. So make sure that they feel okay, and I don't think that competitiveness would be a problem. Of course, I'm not all-knowing. I'm not all hoopah. I am pretty darn good, but I'm not that way. I'm kidding. Thoughts? All right, well, it doesn't look like there's anything. Can I stop, and do you have things to fill the time?
You're good.
You can fill time.
It's a real honor to be asked. I love talking in front of all you guys. Hopefully you got one or two things out of it. You know, I think this guy charges way too much for this book, frankly, but I think it's an outstanding book. I really truly do. And it goes into way more detail than obviously I did here. And it really helped me at least be aware. I'm not sure the strategies to involve everybody is going to be an epiphany to anybody to make the most wonderful organization that ever existed, but I think it does make us aware maybe of the issues and gives us another outlook on things so that maybe we can devise our own strategies to making those people feel worthwhile. You know what I'm saying? Good, thank you.